know that essentially, in a macro sense, we're having this large social cleansing taking place right now. And it's engulfing everyone from essentially career criminals who've gotten away with systemic sexual abuse and assaults on women and have been hidden and protected by large institutions. It's implicating people for boorish and disgusting behavior, people for abusing their positions at work. It's implicating, even I think a lot of interactions which aren't necessarily as black and white as those, but it's causing a large cultural reflection, which is obviously infinitely past due. And maybe people like Bill Clinton, maybe he's coming up next. But it's also engulfing, things that even in our worst of times, you would at least think theoretically Americans were all sort of on the same page with, which is that you probably, if you're in your 30s, shouldn't be trying to hook up with a girl who is 14 or a boy for that matter. Even the most libertine would say, I don't know, what is it? 18, 21, okay? Like there's some
The rule I heard is the older person's age plus 7. The older person's age divided by 2 plus 7. So 32, you divide that by 2, it'd be 16. And then plus 7 be 23-year-old would be the youngest. That'd be that's the rule. I don't know. That's not law.
All right. Well, whatever. Some rule like that, some rule in that vicinity. I'm saying that even if we were to take the most questionable metric, I would really hope that there is no one in this country and no one listening that would question anything involving under 21, or anything that Roy Moore has been accused of. Okay, Judge Moore, and there's a system here. There's certainly a pattern, which is what criminal prosecutors look for in a case. A pattern like a 14-year-old, a woman who said when she was 14 that he forced her to touch him, that he touched her, that he groomed her, that he did this and basically, got her mother out of the way, essentially.
Kidnapped her at a courthouse.
There's a couple of other women who I believe were 16 at the time. Maybe one was 17. Now we have a woman we'll get to later who was accused him of sexual assault when she was underage. And we also have a story that, he was banned from a mall, which,
happens all the time.
But of course, we do not share that consensus in this country because there are many people that have no value for women's lives at any age. A lot of those people are extremists in terms of religious belief, whether they be Christian, Muslim, or Jewish. And there's also just cynical political calculations. Now, Stephanie Ruhle here is going to engage in a little bit of a deep cut in terms of delusion. Remember this period of time where there were people talking about how Ivanka Trump would somehow be a force for restraint and even liberal values in her father's grotesque administration? Now, mind you, Ivanka Trump has accomplished nothing independently in her life. There's serious, incredible charges about the most heinous sweatshop abuses in her companies. And she is purely the product of inherited wealth and stood by while her father ran an overtly xenophobic, racist campaign and himself was multiply accused of sexual assault and boorish behavior. But for some reason, a lot of people thought that she was going to be the moral anchor. I think some people who are less insane have kind of let that go. But here is Stephanie Ruhle on MSNBC actually bringing up that old chestnut.
From a risk management perspective, by the time the Access Hollywood tape came out, when President Trump himself said, I do what I want, I grab him by the X, you can do what you want when you're a celebrity, Republicans looked at it, right or wrong, and said from a risk management perspective, I've got to go with this guy. I don't want to see Hillary Clinton be the next president of the United States. You get that. We're talking about a small-time race in Alabama. Those two are not the same. This could actually be a moment for President Trump to say, thanks, but no thanks. Think about how far that would go. President Trump gets whacked right, left, and center for morally reprehensible behavior. How about Ivanka Trump? Ivanka Trump has said repeatedly that her brief is the advancement of women and girls. Now she's on this tax reform tour. She has been absolutely dead silent since Election Day. I think 2 weeks ago in a speech overseas, she said no one should ever accept sexual harassment and made no comment about her father or anything else. How about now, Ivanka? You want to back women? This is your moment.
Yeah, and that's going to happen never. Maybe if she sees an opportunity to, cut her dad of a future real estate deal or something. First of all, this is an impulse that even when it's applied to people who actually might deserve to be considered moral people or truth tellers or anything else is misplaced because it's not structural. This is a structural problem, not something that is about a sort of individual call out or accountability. It's a cultural, social, criminal, organizational problem. And then to apply to Ivanka Trump, like this ongoing fantasy about her is kind of like it's worthy of psychological exploration in and of itself. It's never going to happen. I'm sure you'll see a lot of stories in the coming weeks that are leaked to various journalists that Jared and Ivanka are unhappy, and she will say something generic about it again in the future. And maybe even specific if Roy Moore drops out. But she is never going to intervene or get far ahead of her dad on anything, ever. Period. And it's embarrassing that people are still speculating about this on television.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos